Hello and welcome. My name is Dr. Rana Smalling, and I love teaching people the science behind natural wellness approaches and complementary and alternative medicine. When we talk about healing and natural approaches, people tend to dismiss these things. They call it woo stuff. They say, oh, that's not scientific. So, one of my goals is to demystify alternative approaches and show you how they're linked to our biology. I started this journey specifically from experience navigating fibroids and PCOS. And as I'm figuring out what works, I want to share those resources with the women who need them. So that's why I founded Yaresa Wellness. Yaresa is derived from the Akan word that's from Ghana, the Akan word for healing, Ayarisa. So it's a nod to my heritage as a woman of African descent, and it's also from my husband's language, but also something that I strongly believe in as a Christian. I believe that our bodies are designed on certain biological principles, and our Creator desires for us to be in good health. So, Yarisa Wellness basically stands for healing. And that's my prayer for any woman who has been struggling with hormonal disorders like fibroids or PCOS. In today's video, I want to talk about one of my favorite items in my toolbox for hormonal balance, the powerhouse vitamin, vitamin D. For the record, anything that I share here is not meant to be medical advice. This is for educational purposes only. So let me start by explaining what are fibroids. Fibroids are non-cancerous growths of the uterus. They're made of muscle and connective tissue. They're very common, especially in women of reproductive age, but that does not mean they are to be ignored. It's a very serious condition that causes significant distress to women and significant burden on the healthcare system. Some common fibroid symptoms are heavy or prolonged periods. So if you're bleeding for more than 7 days, or if you bleed through one of these or one of these every hour, that's not normal. That can lead to anemia. Some other symptoms include pelvic pressure or pain, bloating, you might look like you're pregnant, frequent urination, and obviously fertility issues. And what is polycystic ovarian syndrome? PCOS is a hormonal and metabolic condition where ovulation is disrupted. It's associated with insulin resistance and high levels of androgens or male hormones. It usually causes people to have irregular periods and fertility challenges. Other symptoms that you typically see with PCOS are multiple follicles in arrested development, and so the egg is not released. Not everyone has the polycystic ovaries, but people share other symptoms like acne, facial hair, lots of body hair, weight gain, it's difficult to lose weight, and fatigue. Many women actually have both fibroids and PCOS. In fact, having PCOS increases your risk for fibroids. So, what does vitamin D have to do with all this? Vitamin D is not just another wellness trend. It's a biologically active molecule. It's made by your skin when you're exposed to the sun. So that's why it's sometimes called the sunshine vitamin. But it's also a nutrient that you can get from diet or from supplementation. It's one of our body's major protectors. Biologically, vitamin D behaves like a steroid hormone. It regulates other hormones by influencing gene expression of hundreds of genes. That includes genes involved in immune balance, inflammation, insulin signaling, reproductive health. When the sun hits your skin, cholesterol gets transformed into vitamin D3, which gets transformed into the active form calcitriol. I'm skipping a few steps for simplicity, but What I really want to highlight is that vitamin D receptors are found throughout your reproductive tissues. Your uterus, your ovaries, your endometrium, they all respond to vitamin D. So, not having enough can affect the levels of your reproductive hormones and throw off your reproductive system. So, vitamin D packs a really powerful punch. This nutrient has been proven to shrink fibroids. No surgery, no negative side effects. About 4 years ago, in 2022, a scientific review was published that confirms by consensus that women taking this nutrient significantly reduced the size of their fibroids. Their analysis combined data from 5 clinical trials where they gave more than 500 women either vitamin D or a placebo. They found that vitamin D supplementation significantly increases blood levels of vitamin D. So that's good. So you want to know that when you're taking the vitamin, is it actually working? And most importantly, vitamin D supplementation significantly reduced the size of the fibroids in those women compared to the ones who were getting the placebo. Something else that stood out was that the effect was stronger in studies where the woman stayed on the vitamin for longer than 8 weeks. So that means you have to be consistent. You have to be patient and keep taking it every day if you want to see results. Vitamin D also works for PCOS. Another scientific study showed that in diseases like PCOS, low vitamin D levels have been associated with insulin resistance, elevated androgens or male hormones, and systemic inflammation, as well as ovulatory dysfunction. In fact, some women with PCOS don't even ovulate at all, or they ovulate infrequently, and that's what causes the irregular periods. But the good news is that vitamin D fights all of this. It improves insulin sensitivity, supports metabolic signaling, reduces the high levels of androgen or male hormones, combats inflammation, all of it. All of this data, both data on the fibroids and the PCOS, suggests that for you to see progress in hormonal balance, you might need to address your vitamin D status. Another common question is, our skin makes vitamin D, so why is this a problem? Don't you get enough vitamin D from going outside, from being in the sun? Well, my counter question is, do you go outside enough? Do we even go outside? Like, we don't go outside anymore. In theory, yes, it's true. Sunlight on our skin is how humans make vitamin D. But in reality, our modern lifestyle has made that difficult. And this is especially relevant for women of color. And that's because of melanin. Yes, melanin. The pigment that gives our skin its beautiful color. Melanin acts as a natural sunscreen and it blocks ultraviolet B light. It does an awesome job of protecting our skin. You know, black don't crack. But the catch there is that UVB light that the melanin is blocking is what the sun uses to make vitamin D on our skin. So, while melanin is protective, it also reduces the amount of UVB light available for vitamin D synthesis. That is bad news for your reproductive system. This means that individuals with darker skin require more sun exposure to produce the same amount of vitamin D as an individual with less melanin. So, that recommendation of 30 minutes in the sun, that doesn't apply to everyone. Historically, this might not have been a problem, but today we spend most of our time indoors. We use sunscreen, we're working under artificial light, and our diets tend to be lower in natural vitamin D. So the result of that is widespread vitamin D deficiency. It's an epidemic in this country, especially among Black women. In fact, it's been reported that around 82% of Black women are vitamin D deficient. There's still a lot of work to do for women with fibroids and PCOS. That is the main reason that led me to do my own research in this area. And that's why, as a trained scientist and a person who is very intimately familiar with these problems, I am raising awareness and I am highlighting some of the solutions that are within our control. So, how do you get enough of the vitamin D that your body needs? I discussed this in my blog, and there are several dietary changes that you can make, but because of our modern lifestyle, supplementation is often the most reliable way to achieve and maintain adequate vitamin D levels. For a woman with a busy lifestyle, if you're already vitamin D deficient, diet alone is probably not enough. Especially if you're a vegetarian or you're trying to be vegan, plant sources of vitamin D are great, but they're usually vitamin D2, which the body doesn't use very well. You can see that it's vitamin D3 that your skin makes in response to the sun. And it's easier for your body to make calcitriol, the active form that your body uses starting from D3. Another important point is that vitamin D3 works better when you take it with vitamin K2. Pairing these two together supports proper calcium utilization. In fact, if you take vitamin D3 alone without enough K2, that can be damaging for your bones and your heart. Now, Yaresa Wellness, we have our own vitamin D3 plus K2. This bottle gives you a 2-month supply of D3, K2, calcium, and bioperine. That's black pepper fruit extract for absorption. And it's made in the US at an FDA registered and GMP certified facility, and it undergoes third-party lab testing. And it's also corn-free and lactose-free. I really like this because I'm allergic to corn and everything has corn in it nowadays, even the capsules that are used to make supplements. But this one doesn't have any corn, so check it out. Even though vitamin D is foundational for hormone balance, it works in synergy with other approaches. For fibroids and PCOS, what has helped me is addressing inflammation, insulin sensitivity, estrogen clearance and metabolism, weight management. And for fibroids, we also have to consider cell growth because it's a tumor, and addressing your metabolic health and your stress levels and your entire being, the health of your entire being. My approach is to come at the issue with a number of evidence-based interventions, not just one thing. So not just vitamin D, one and done. You want to bombard your body with good things, as I always say. So that's the philosophy behind our hormone balance starter kit and our hormone balance protocols, which include our Rise and Shine vitamin D as one component of a broader, more intentional strategy. And you can find these on our website in the link in the description. And if you are living with fibroids, PCOS, or any hormonal balance disorder, I want to say this clearly. Your body's not broken. It may just be missing some fundamental support. One of the first steps that you can take to support your body is restoring your vitamin D. If you found this content valuable, please remember to like this video and subscribe for more and share. Share the love with someone who needs to hear this information. Also, click the bell so that you can get notifications when I make another video because I'm going to keep it going and I'm going to tell you about another nutrient that's scientifically proven to shrink fibroids. So stay tuned.